First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge and pay respects to the traditional custodians of all the Awabakal people, the traditional custodians of the land this video is filmed in. And I'd like to pay respects to the people of this race, as well as the elders past and present of the land this video is filmed in. G'day fellow culture of the internet, this is the must see and subscribe to Argonian here on YouTube, Bruzo of House Dragonius, or Bruzo Dragonius for short, or Bruzo, whatever. As you already know, or already seen through my socials, I have written numerous posts about the upcoming referendum. If you don't know what a referendum is, it's just basically a thing on do you agree with one thing, or whatever that should be happening and all that kind of stuff. What gets me iffy about is the Indigenous voice to Parliament. Should the Indigenous people have an advisory body to the government on things that matter to them? This is just my interpretation of it. I don't know if it's the exact words and all that kind of stuff. That this type of thing that sort of affects me as an Australian, you know, because it is a thing that where us in this country have to go out onto the voting polls and vote our lives away under blackmail that will probably end up being fined or whatever if we don't, you know. I don't want to make it too political and all that kind of stuff, okay? I know for sure that this matter only happens here in Australia, throughout all of Australia, because I'm going to have to vote as well, of whether this thing should happen, whether that they should have an advisory council of the Aboriginal people to the current federal government. Just be informed that this video isn't really meant to persuade you into voting for one thing over the other, you know. It's not that, right? It's just how I'm thinking at the... This is an Argonian.POV of the way that I'm thinking of how about this idea, how it gets to me, you know, as even a non-Indigenous Australian. Now, and please, I beg you to take it with a grain of salt, okay? Now, this is just sort of my experience and all that kind of stuff. You may have seen on Twitter that, you know, I've been basically and for the no camp and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if it's out of fear and all that kind of stuff, but the reason that I was in the no camp, or was deciding to vote no, is I don't know if I'm being indoctrinated into voting this thing, like voting, okay, but it's just personal fears that I have, that I just seen on the internet, some of the different sort of news reports and all that kind of stuff, okay? There's been some news of white Australians or non-Indigenous Australians having to pay money to some organisation that claim to be Indigenous, but they're not really Indigenous, just so they can do their own things in their own properties and all that kind of stuff. And I do get that this is Aboriginal land that I'm standing in. Okay, that's the reason why I sort of like to. That is the reason why I end up doing the acknowledgement of country before this video. And it's not just to pay. And it's not just to pay the rent, but I feel that this is the right thing to do when talking about this matter that affects the Indigenous people as well, just to pay my respects, okay? And there's another thing, because the fact being is that people don't know, like, they're starting to get this fear of paying the rent, whether, like, if it's something that's literally paying the rent of your own land, even to some company or some organization that again claims that they're actually Aboriginals or actually Torres Strait Islanders or whatever. Okay? And there's some reports on that. And I would have just think that as literally, I would have think that paying the rent is just acknowledging that these people were here first 60 millennia ago, even before the settlers came here into Australia through Botany Bay and all that kind of stuff. And that would go in terms of paying, like, not allowed to be on sacred land and all that kind of stuff. That is still public to us. You know, say for instance, they can like claim Nobbies as public land. I can't go to the break wall and all that kind of stuff because it's their sacred land, you know. Or have to pay to get to even use this area. Not to mention, I was really scared that if this voice passes, right, it's going to affect me more. And it's going to affect me even badly as a non-Indigenous person, at least in this country and all that kind of stuff. It's going to affect me more as if that I'm being punished for what the white folk, the British, have done to the Aboriginal people back then. Back before, even since before Federation. And that is the reason why that I did tweet things about with the no camp and all that kind of stuff. Because I was just thinking, why should I risk my freedom, risk being treated as some sort of invasive species in this country where basically that if you're Indigenous, then you get treated like gods and all that kind of stuff. That's the thing that really concerns me as well, okay? Now, I didn't do any proper research on this matter, right? All these things is because that I had no idea about this voice. I had no idea about it whatsoever, okay? No idea. And even with the Conservatives and that, they also just pointed out there when, if you don't know, then automatically vote no on the voice. That to me is one of their best convincing of saying no to the voice. Not to mention that the other reason is, for one, I wasn't really that sure of who written up for the voice and all that kind of stuff. Even though knowing that Thomas Mayo, the guy that pitched the voice, isn't really Aboriginal, as his father is Filipino and his mum is a Jew. I know that thing doesn't really add up. It doesn't add up.
This is future Bruzo here. As I was editing this, that's no longer true of what I said in the video. I thought it was Thomas Mayo, even though that, yes, I do stand by my point that he is not an Aboriginal or any Indigenous person and claimed what he is. However, I just later realised that it's the Aboriginal people themselves wanted the voice to go through, or proposed it to Anthony Albanese, right through the Uluru Statement of the Heart, which is basically the reason why I have changed my opinion on this matter, which is more more of it is coming on in this video. So anyway, back to the video that I just said. Still at the before no camp thoughts.
And I still fear that they wanted to bring in total, like, that they're going to make this place like South Africa, or even worse, North Korea. And then I thought, hold on, what makes me think of that, even though there's no real proof of that? What makes me think that all this is going to happen to me? Being treated unfairly, and the divisiveness that the voice is going to create as well. Having the laws that would, how can I say, that would have one set of laws favouring the Indigenous people over the non-Indigenous that are even born in this land. That have been, some of us that has no choice because we are born here as well. Will it bring more division than it has based on race, or will it make things worse? And then it just hit me with this, because the fact being is that how is there any proof of all these things going to happen? The conspiracies of the Uluru Statement from the Heart being more than one pages, where I looked at the Uluru Statement from the Heart online after researching this, and the Uluru Statement from the Heart is only one single page. Whereas the Conservatives are thinking, well, they're 16 pages long. There has been claims that even real Aboriginals from grassroots communities saying that this thing is going to divide them up to the elite that claim to be Aboriginals that living in the city, and has zero representation of those that are just living in the middle, in like middle of nowhere villages in Northern Territory and all these desert places and all that kind of stuff. That they don't really seem to be represented as well within this political thing. And I know that The Voice isn't about politics as people are making it out to be. I'm not good at doing politics, but because of those things that gets me is that, well, okay, these things are claimed. These things are claimed, and there's no real evidence. What I'm feared that is going to result in. All this seems very much uneducated and indoctrinated. And yes, I know for sure that there are some members of Parliament in Canberra that are all that acclaim, if not are, Aboriginal people, like Lydia Thorpe. Okay, and very much in both ends of the political spectrum as well. I know that the reason that even the companies that donated to the Yes campaign are doing it because are just whitewashing what they've done to this land in the first place, because some of it are mining companies and all that kind of stuff. Right? Something doesn't add up. However, based on the documents, based on the things that I read, based on some of the claims that people had told me about The Voice, all this no nonsense doesn't add up at all. It doesn't. There's nothing. Some of it are just indoctrinated lies that we're going to end up being divided as a country based on race. That there's going to be 15-minute cities, which I don't believe that would happen anyway. All these conspiracy theories that isn't true. Not to mention that who is running the No campaign at the moment? Who? And that hit me right on the head. The No campaign is led by merely hateful conservatives. Okay? Not just the Liberal Party, okay? But really racist politicians. I know that Peter Dutton, the lead to the No campaign, he is trying to discredit Anthony Albanese from his job as Prime Minister. Because the fact being is that where was he? Like, he voted no in the last referendum that is for same-sex marriage. He wasn't there when Kevin Rudd apologised to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people for the stolen generation. No for the White Australia policy. Not to mention that, yes, there are some bad eggs in the Yes campaign. Okay, there's some bad eggs on that are hassling the No campaigners and all that kind of stuff. Right? Those people that are calling them no campaigners or whatever, or Yes campaigners, they don't represent the Yes campaigners at all. No campaigners are known as racists and all that kind of stuff. There's some claims that the no, if you vote no, one journalist say that if you vote no, you are stupid and racist. And you can also be racist if you are voting yes as well, I claim. But that is when I jumped ship as well into voting yes for The Voice. Okay? Because, let's face it, there is so many evidence that is claimed, like, I believe that the reason I voted no, or decided to vote no, is admittedly, I was indoctrinated by the conservatives. There were Nazis that are voting no. Actual neo-Nazis, mind you, that are on the no camp. That turns me off. That turns me off now, because of the fact being is that the Nazis don't really give a damn of humanity in the entire world. They only care for one thing, and that is white supremacy. And I know this world is made up into many different people of many different races and all that kind of. If The Voice does pass and all that kind of stuff, maybe that there are claims that it will not affect me at all, but to be honest with you, I'd much rather The Voice not to affect me at all by legality or class or whatever. That would hopefully get their voices heard from like all nations of the Aboriginal, of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, of the Indigenous, that they really do need. Okay. I know for sure that people are claiming, well, if you vote no, you are saving Australia Day. But hell, I don't really give a damn about Australia Day, because either way, we have nothing to celebrate about this great country and all that kind of stuff throughout history and all that. Ever since the white people came here, the stolen generation, the killing of the Aboriginal people on arrival and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I do get this, sovereignty never ceded. I know this land isn't, it is stolen, and I do get that. Okay. I've seen some evidence on why I should vote yes. Because the fact being is that, well, at least that the Aboriginal people do care about this land that is Australia more better than the people who colonised this island. They want the treaty to happen. Okay, they don't want to put us into different classes and all that kind of stuff. They don't want to be the most superior race and all that kind of stuff. They just wanted to be heard on a federal level. And to me, even though that I do still have my skepticism and all that kind of stuff, and there's some people that's claiming, well, it doesn't affect me whatsoever. And it doesn't, and just because that I'm not Aboriginal, just because that I'm not Indigenous, or never do claim to be, it will not affect me whatsoever. Okay? I know that people are also on about the other reason to vote, that I did vote no, is that it's going to create more box tickers than it actually were. In other words, people that are claiming to be Aboriginal just for the alleged benefits that they get. Okay? I know this is a really horrible thing to say, but that itself is racist. Okay? And I can't tell who's Indigenous or not. Maybe that there are real Indigenous people with white skin. And yes, I do agree that there should be a process on how to know that you are of Indigenous blood and all that kind of stuff. And that's the thing that gets me as well, that maybe that there could be people, if the voice passes, that are abusive of their Aboriginal heritage to get more things, or to get things that, you know, that they want. But back to my decision of voting yes for it. Because the fact being is that the Indigenous people of many nations, they only want to have a say of matters that affect them. Maybe it could be really good things, you know, that good ideas. Maybe that they could stop the mining and all that kind of stuff, like new mines and that. Maybe that they would, you know, stop development or whatever. Maybe they could give us some ideas on how we can better look after this country, better look after this environment. Because I believe that Australia is basically, shouldn't be divided based on race, but we are one nation. The Indigenous or not, I'm Australian. You don't have to be, you know, Australia is based in different cultures. I mean, different cultures and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's a multicultural First Nation country now. And that itself is the reason why I don't want this country divided, and I don't want the Aboriginal people to be classed as one race, but be a part of this, nation. Make them truly feel like they're Australian and that. So for that, based on the documents, based on what I saw, based on the testimony and all that kind of stuff, I think that I'm on the yes camp for that. So anyway, I know for sure that I'm just blabbering on. I am not trying to convince you to vote on what end, but it's just my experience. I'm just like to share my experience as well about this situation. And it does give me a chance to just clear my head a bit. Okay? Because of all these uncertainties. So anyway, I don't know if we're going to leave a comments on and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you can just write in comments, what are your thoughts about this voice thing? What are your thoughts on the you know, of this video and all that kind of stuff. If you do like this video, or if you do agree with me or whatever, make sure you just press that thumbs up button. Please consider subscribing to this channel, because I love you if you do. It may not be much, but hey, I appreciate it if you do. If you've already subscribed and all that kind of stuff and being the first one to know, make sure you press that bell icon as well, so you can be the first person to know, and turn notifications on your devices as well. Also, if you want to friend me on PSN, my gamer tag is Bruzo21, or if you want to meet me in Tumblr or there or whatever. The usual socials and ways to give me money is also on the description below, as well as my Blue Sky that I finally got onto. So so make sure you follow me on Blue Sky if you wanted to as well. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for watching me blabbering on about this voice thing. That's, you know, and all that kind of stuff. The voice to Parliament. As always, this is the most must-see and subscribe going on YouTube / online ambassador of Black Marsh. Bruzo Dragonius, or Bruzo for short. Finishing off by saying these words, the usual. May this guide you all, and bye for now.